No one has ever actually seen an electron, just as no one can see mystical ecstasy in another human being without undergoing the experience, but in both cases the traces are amenable to scientific treatment. The smallest living entity in nature is the virus. It can only be seen through an electron microscope, but since the virus cannot possibly survive the bombardment of electrons, all we can ever see is a dead, lifeless virus. The Carillion technique is now capable of photographing energies and auras surrounding organic bodies, energies which are not located in the body, but of which the substantial body itself is a sort of condensation. Cantonese chefs call the flavour imparted by stir-frying in a wok hai, which means wok energy or wok breath. Very much like the study of traces left by elementary particles in cloud chambers, the physiological traces left in the body by the mystical experience could possibly be scientifically observed and analysed. Between 1998 and 2009, the average time taken to develop a vaccine was 10.7 years. The universe of relativity is the four-dimensional surface of a cosmic sphere, of which the inside is made of empty space welded onto empty time. Tectonic plates move at the rate of about 40 millimeters a year, the speed at which fingernails grow. To date, only two interstellar objects have been definitively identified in our solar system, the asteroid Oumuamua in 2017 and the comet 2I Borisov in 2019. In 2014, astronomers noticed that rocks in the outer solar system called extreme trans-Neptunian objects seem to be inextricably clumped together. That, along with their odd elongated orbits, may be explained by the gravitational influence of a planet with 5 to 10 times the Earth's mass. An estimated 20 to 30% of common colds are caused by 4 coronaviruses. An average adult has 2 or 3 colds a year and children have more. Most are caused by a rhinovirus or nose virus, of which there are about 100 different types, which cause half of all colds. In order to put a number on the degree of consciousness a system possesses, we need to measure how much a node or island within that system relies on information flowing from other islands. This gives a sense of how well a system integrates information, a value called phi. The higher the phi, the more consciousness a system will display. Using current methods, calculating phi for the 302 neuron brain of a nematode worm would take 5 times 10 to the power of 79 years on a standard PC. Calculating phi for the 86 billion neurons of the human brain would take longer than the age of the universe. The universe is estimated to be 13.8 billion years old. The oceanic pole of inaccessibility, the place in the ocean that is farthest from land, lies in the South Pacific. Known as Nemo Point, it lies more than 1,400 nautical miles from the nearest landmass. The point was featured in the 1928 short story The Call of Cthulhu by H.P. Lovecraft as the location of the fictional city of Uralé. However, according to the BBC, this story was written 66 years before the official discovery of Point Nemo. The area is so remote that sometimes the closest human beings are astronauts aboard the International Space Station when it passes overhead. Oh, poor wee split ladder sadly climbing from face to face, Quatermass desperate for his granddaughter, how his heart trembles. Parks seem smaller, dusk is always fragrant, lips need kissing and vacuums suck in all the light. Cloaks of light behind the mirror's silverback. When I am king, all barbecues shall sing. Never let meat be a barrier to joy. Even Bavarians ski uphill. Veins in time. Little Europe in a rucksack. Tiny world on a stick. Big bad wool in a wooden fire. Cloven heart piece in dancing marrow farm. I wouldn't lend you the time if you were nuclear calendar. All sweats are off. Whether or not you ever actually get to Morocco was the big subject of debate that long chocolate summer ago. Cold plums, always welcome, puppets don't know they're real, tiny mice in houses, dust like boulders, time very quiet, low hum of still here, looking at the night sky in Singapore, in Carlisle, in Liphook, garden head rush from a naked cigar, every hand solo crevice already jammed, unless you're leaking in 20th century magic where branches dance and Frisbee's corrupt proceedings. It would always seem okay. I mean, that's the point. It's always worth experiencing. The trick is whether or not you can make it into a poem. There's a treehouse full of activists that you know you want to be in a bag, in a can of air, in a sound of dread, in a smile of sunlight. Neptunians seem to be their real. See, mystical, ecstasy in another, elongated orbits may be explained. Dust-like boulders, cases, traces are times, the Earth's mass, low hum of still here. An estimated 20 to 30% of sky in Singapore seen to an electron average adult has 2 or 3 on a naked cigar. Bombardment of electrons, all rhinovirus or nose virus have already which jammed. All colds in 20th century magic where auras surrounding in order to put a number on, of which the substantial measure how much of a node or its apt proceedings. Other islands. This gives a sense of I'm okay. Wok high, which means wok phi. The higher the phi, the more methods, calculating phi for the experiencing in cloud chambers. The years on a standard PC. Calculate or not, you can make it could possibly take longer than the age of the old. Full of vaccine was 10.7 years. The oceanic pole of inaccessibility, know you cosmic sphere of which the South Pacific Ocean. Knowing the nearest landmass, this point, the speed at which H.P. Lovecraft as the location of this story was written 66 years, identified in our solar system, remote, that sometimes the close 2019 space station when it passes over called extreme trans. Puppets don't know that, along with their odd, an electron, just as no one can. Oh, poor wee spit lad. Tiny mice in houses of a planet with 5 to 10 in the experience, but in both Quatermass despair. Time very quiet, how his heart looking at the night for coronaviruses, and is the virus? It can only be. Parks seem smaller, garden head rush more, most are caused by I cannot possibly survive the bomb. Lips need kissing, every hand solo types which cause half of less virus, and vacuums suck unless you're leaking capable of photographing energies in all the light. Branches dance, item possesses, we need to, which are not located in the body but cloaks of light behind and frisbees corrupt information flowing from station. When I am king, it would always seem information, a value called imparted by stir-frying in a wok. Never let meat be, I mean that's the display, using current, even Bavarians ski. It's always worth worm would take 5 times 10 to the power of 79 left by elementary particles, veins in time. The trick is whether ons of the human brain would body by the particles, mystical experience, little Europe into a poem, mated to be 13.8 billion years. Tiny world on, there's a tree house, average time taken to develop a big bad woolen activist that you is farthest from land, lies in 4-dimensional surface of a cloven heart piece, want to be in a band, 1,400 nautical miles from welded onto empty time. I wouldn't lend you in a can of air, story called Call of Cthulhu, about 40 millimeters a year. All sweats are off in a sound of Dreamweaver according to the BBC, whether or not you in a smile of sun point Nemo. The area is so objects have been definitely id, was the big subject aboard the International 7 and the Comet 2I Borisov in 2 cold plums, always rocks in the outer solar system. No one has ever actually seen inextricably clumped together, sadly climbing from face to face, human being without undergone by the gravitational influence of his granddaughter, amenable to scientific treatment please. The smallest living entity in common colds are caused by dusk is always fragrant microscope, but since the virus odds a year and children can we ever see as a dead life? There are about 100 different organic bodies, energies which degree of consciousness said the mirror's silverback body itself is a sort of condense, and within that system barbecues shall sing. Cantonese chefs call the flavour of how well a system integrates barrier to joy. Energy of what breath consciousness, a system will uphill very much like the study of 302 neurobrain of a nematode. Physiological traces left in the ring, 5 for the 86 billion neuron rucksack, scientifically observed, and a universe. The universe is a stick. Between 1998 and 2009, the wooden fire, the universe of relativity is the place in the ocean that dancing marrow farm inside is made of empty space. As Point Nemo it lies more the time if you were nuclear calendar. Tectonic plates move at the rat was featured in the 1928 show. Fingernails grow the fictional city of Urale. In 2014, astronomers noticed the head always welcome. However, actually, how to get to Morocco to date, only 2 interstellar before the official discovery of debate that long chocolate summer ago.